Hey guys, I'm Benjamin James Baker, also known as EG.DeMusliM. I'm a StarCraft 2 player playing professionally for Evil Geniuses. Sorry about that little slip up. But anyway, this is a matchup that gives a lot of Terran's problems, including myself, is Terran against Protoss. And one of the things I've noticed recently when I'm playing ladder and I get the same opponent over and over, he'll start to adapt to me. He can start blind countering me. What I want to kind of show you guys is that there's a way to deal with that. And I'll get right into this replay. So, I am the red Terran spawning in the bottom left of Daybreak, and he is One Trick Pony spawning as the blue Protoss in the northeast. So I'll get this replay underway on 2x speed. So initially I just want to talk about mineral stacking. Getting SCVs on the same patch, that helps a lot. I'm not doing it as of yet. This is probably one of my lazier games, but it helps when you have 2 SCVs on each SCV patch. So this is a ladder game. I will start by putting a wall up. This is a depot, then a barracks here, then another depot here. That's a complete wall off. One thing I want to note here for our Protoss player is going for a pylon near his base and not going for the earliest scout possible. Chrono boosting out probes, very, very proper. His build is completely normal, as is mine. So barracks coming out, there is a rally point here and such. And look, I just want to point out I'm going for a 13 gas here. I actually played this guy just before, which is why the chat says I thought the factory was a wrecked this game. So I've played this guy a couple of times now in a row, and while I have been winning, it hasn't been by much. And this game's about throwing builds at your opponent that maybe he hasn't necessarily seen before, but you feel comfortable with, and you feel you'll get to the same point overall, maybe less efficiently, but it'll be enough to scare your opponent. So that's what I do this game. I start off with a very similar looking build, but I throw something completely different at him for a little length of time, and he doesn't expect it. Why would he? If you're playing this game, if you have other cards up your sleeves, not just aces, if you have kings, queens, jacks, or whatever, and they're almost as good, it's actually worth throwing out a less efficient strategy sometimes, just to throw your opponent off. While I don't mean doing that in like a best of one, you want to do your best every time, sometimes it's worth doing. If you've seen players like Marine King Prime, he's very, very infamous for being kind of cheesy and throwing anything at his opponent. So right here, he scouted this, he's seen my SCV on the way to his base, he does have a Zealot on his way, and I just want to talk about this. This Zealot being put out is very good for a Protoss player. It means if I did Engineering Bay block him here, he could kill it, could kill the SCV, and just stop it from being done. And the game before, he sent a Zealot at me and actually killed an SCV or 2 and a Marine or 2. So he's obviously thinking that I'm doing exactly the same, and why not? Why wouldn't he? I'm showing pretty much the same cards in the same build-up. But little does he know I'm building a Reaper, the perfect counter to the Zealot that is coming to my base along with this probe. So anyhow, I do scout his base, so he's got 3 pylons up, so he's got no second guess. That's very indicative of a fast expand, which I do see with that guy. Now, this does get to my base. He sees that I do have a Reaper. I micro him very well. I keep him alive. I kill the probe. I kill the Zealot very shortly after. And voila. I am, in my eyes, already ahead in this game. What's my follow-up? I went for a command center straight away. I took my guys off gas as soon as I got enough gas, which is 80 for the Reaper and Tech Lab, which is 50 plus 25. So actually, you only need 75, but hey, pulling one guy off gas like one blip too late, that's not too big of a deal. Don't worry too much about it. If you're trying this build out for the first time, hey, you're going to make slip-ups. Anyway, I start adding on 2 Rexes shortly after, then 2 Rexes shortly after that. So let's see, there's roughly 40 seconds between them, but I feel pretty comfortable at this stage of the game. I've got this Reaper here seeing what's going down. I see the Stalker running at me very, very quickly. I do try and run away because Stalkers are much better, or they're very good at dealing with Reapers. A Reaper cannot touch a Stalker even if he wanted to. I do finally get away. At this point, I have just a few Marines out, getting more out, got my guys back on gas. I'm flying out this orbital to my natural, and look, I'm actually doing pretty okay here. He just started running a Reaper up, but 5 Marines without a bunker are way more than enough to defend or fend off a Stalker, especially at the top of the ramp. He has to get roughly here to have vision, in which case he's already going to receive 2 volleys, eliminating all his shields. What am I doing in base? Well, I've got my gas running, I'm getting combat shields, and I've got 5 Rexes. That's pretty weird, you might add. And look, I know I'm pretty comfortable, I know I'm ahead, or not even ahead, I know I'm in a good position. So harvester-wise, being 6 behind a Protoss at this stage of the game is really, really good. I played this guy before, so I know pretty much what he's going to do. And that's an advantage that I have that he doesn't have anymore. He doesn't know how I'm playing this game. I've played completely different so far. The game before, I actually went for a fast Banshee, which is why he said my factory looked like or he thought it was a barracks. So I'm mixing it up every time. From being very tech-heavy one game, I'm now very, very marine-heavy in the next. And looking back on this game, I could probably just get away with just 4 Rexes because I'm not producing constantly out of all of them. But this works out. This is fine. So harvester-wise, I'm doing fine. My minerals are higher than his. He does scout with his Stalker, and I mean, losing a Stalker to get information, personally, I'd use a better unit like a Probe, but he won't get all the way through. But he does know what I've got now, and he does start producing units. He's also got a robotics facility, getting charged very quickly, getting an observer, he's seeing 2 Marines out on the map, and he's just holding back a little bit. So if we look at the harvest count, while I am 9 behind, that's perfectly fine for a Terran. And look, when I'm getting this game, I'm getting 4 tech labs, stim, gonna get concussive pretty soon, I imagine, once my gas is higher. I got all gases available, or all gases mining, and I'm just getting 4 tech labs, the reactor, a factory, so I'm gearing up for a very, very normal game from a very, very weird opening. So what do? I run at him with this army, and look, he's got a pretty decent squad. What do I do immediately? So I just want to talk about micro in this fight. Initially, I go for the Stalker that's away from this Guardian Shield. This Guardian Shield negates every Marine shot by 2 damage. So, everything behind the force fields, I have them on attack move. I run the guys in this force field away. What does that do? It just means I'm doing a lot of damage while these Zealots have to chase me. So I'm going on faster again. I have all these Marines here. I see that he's pretty weak. He needs to warp in more units to even think of surviving. And what does he do? He warps in sentries in my attack path. I take out those sentries in a single volley. That is 200 gas that just instantly evaporated. I'm using his own building placement to my advantage. Just going behind these assimilators, picking off Zealots where I can, picking off sentries. Wow, another sentry. This attack has already been way more than worth it. What am I doing? Producing SCVs and engineering base as this fight's going on. I'm killing SCV or probes even. And I mean, not many probes have died, roughly 5. But that's enough, and this 1 Marine's still alive. He's not going to kill anything, but resources lost. Even though I lost roughly 20 Marines, he's actually behind in that department, and I got a 3rd CC up. Harvester-wise, I'm equal with him. My infrastructure is actually looking pretty good. I'm producing out of every building I have. While medevacs are kind of late, and upgrades are going, I'm more than fine. Look at my minerals. I'm 800 more minerals ahead than him per minute. He's getting upgrades going. Supply-wise, I'm way ahead. He's pretty behind at this point, actually. He's getting a Templar Archives. He's putting up his 3rd. My 3rd's already up and flying. Everything's looking so good. Why, may you ask? I just scared him with my build. He's got an observer seeing everything that's going off. And I got to a very, very normal part of this game that everybody aims for, where you have 5 Rexes, like 3 with tech labs and 2 reactors, or 4 with tech labs and 1 reactor, depending on what you want. A starport and double upgrades going up. And I even start throwing down way more Rexes at this point. I even have my armory ready for the upgrades later game, because I'm so comfortable. So here I have 5 Rexes, 3 in the making. I have my 3rd base up. I see this piling going down, and look, my income is great. I even have SCVs being trained, all to go over there. And I mean, supply depots throwing up 4 at a time, not even supply blocked, but I can afford to do that. Everything is absolutely fantastic at this point. His army cannot touch me. He has a Zealot here at the Zelnaga. I go to clear that out. I didn't even see him, but you have to check your Zelnaga every time you leave your base. Upgrade-wise, his +1 armor is about to finish. My +1/+1 is soon to finish too. Harvester-wise, I'm still ahead. He's producing a lot of gateways himself. Are his gateway units as efficient as my upgraded units with medevacs? No, they're actually not, especially not without charge. He is getting Storm and High Templars, which is very cool. I have this factory here, which has scouted everything of his, but look at the supply. Or look at the minerals, look at the supply. That advantage that I have is only going to keep on mounting. He is producing Archons at this point. This factory does kind of get away, and it is in a lovely position. So I have a Marauder here to see everything that's going down. And I actually see this happening over here. He is going for a push. I do scout this out. I pick off the Archon straight away, and look, that's a huge chunk of gas that just went away. So pausing it just to look at the armies, look at the unit count. He has 7 Zealots, 3 Stalkers, 2 Sentries. I have 18 Marauders, 6 Marines, and 3 Medevacs, and 10 more SCVs. He just lost roughly 750 gas with that warp in just there. That is huge. Unit lost, look, he's lost over double the amount of resources that I have, and he just can't afford to do that. This expo's been going roughly like 30 minerals per patch. What's my expo? It's roughly the same, but some of them have been muled. So I'm just ahead in every aspect of this game. Just more saturation. I am going to clean up this army very easily. More medevacs, more marauders being produced. And at this point, look at the supplies. 140 to 97. He just produced 9 zealots all at once. That's why it's went up so fast. But either way, I do see everything that he's doing with this factory, which I'm going to scale a little bit. I'm going to try and get to this sweet spot. Why is this a sweet spot? Because it cannot be attacked without having an observer or some kind of air unit to see it. I'm producing so many units at once. I have 8 Rexes all producing, getting more depots, a second starport, and this is when I can start piling on pressure like I really, really want to. I have my guys at the Zelnaga here. I'm waiting outside, reinforcing with my army. This sweet spot, what does this allow me? So I'm muling over here. This is my camera view right now. I see where his army's going. Even though it's just a blip, that's all I need. I saw that his army was moving up here. This is my chance to go in and invade his third. And while it did come back, what's it gonna do? My army's so strong at this point. I'm just microing, stutter-stepping a small portion of the army, splitting up so there's no storms that can hit me, but little did I know he didn't have energy for storms. It's not worth worrying about anyway. I'm just invading his space, piling on pressure, stutter-stepping back where I need to. These zealots are useless against me. I have medevacs, I have a huge army, and well played is called. So, that game was just showcasing the ability to kind of vary it up a little bit. While this expo wasn't as fast as a normal expo, given I had to get gas first, it did put him on the back foot. He didn't know what was going to hit him. We played a couple of games in a row, and I did different builds against him, some weaker than others at the start, but this one wasn't one of those. He tried to take advantage of it, and he lost a probe and a zealot instantly. Where does that leave him? He's got to be a bit wary. What follows a Reaper? There's a lot of things that could follow a Reaper, but what am I doing? I'm just following up with 5 Rex and 3 bases. That's kind of crazy. What could you follow up with? A Cloak Banshee, for instance. He has to get out the fastest observer ever because he's not going to be able to scout my main base. So one of the things you need to think about is, even if something is weaker, it's about what your opponent sees. If you're in his shoes, what would you do if you saw what I was doing just then? Well, yeah, you need an observer like this guy did. Obviously, there's some stuff that went wrong, and while this could not, or probably shouldn't be my staple build, it is something that I could blend in there every now and then just to throw my opponent off. Even if I was to get to the same stage of the game with the same setup for that part of the game. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you want to check out more from myself, EG.DeMusliM, or from my teammates, go over to evilgeniuses.net and we'll help you out. Thank you very much.